Imagine a world that covers more than half of our planet, yet remains more mysterious to us than the cold, cratered surface of the moon. It is a place of perpetual shadow, where the crushing weight of the ocean overhead creates a silent, freezing kingdom of absolute and total darkness. We often think of Earth as a finished map, a conquered territory where every corner has been catalogued, named, and pinned down by our satellites. But a kilometer beneath the waves, the rules of biology and physics begin to warp into something that feels entirely alien to our terrestrial minds. For centuries, sailors told whispered tales of krakens and sea serpents, monsters that rose from the abyss to drag the living into the hungry deep. Today, we have traded our wooden ships for titanium spheres and remote cameras, but the sense of unease and wonder remains exactly the same. This is the Midnight Zone, a giant black void larger than all the rest of the world's terrestrial habitats combined, hidden right beneath our feet. Down here, life does not rely on the golden warmth of the sun, but instead harvests the energy of chemical bonds and ghostly internal fires. Nearly every creature in this void has evolved the ability to create its own light, turning the darkness into a frantic, flickering neon city. This language of bioluminescence is so widespread that these silent flashes are likely the most common form of communication on our entire home planet. Yet, despite its scale, we are only just beginning to translate these signals and understand the strange residents who navigate this liquid, eternal night. Consider the fangtooth, a creature that looks like a nightmare rendered in flesh, boasting the largest teeth relative to body size of any known fish. It does not hunt with sight, but with a complex network of pressure sensors that feel the tiniest heartbeat of a prey animal meters away. In this environment, survival is a game of high-stakes hide-and-seek, where being seen usually means being eaten by something much faster and much hungrier. Some animals have mastered the art of the decoy, ejecting clouds of glowing, luminous ink to blind their pursuers while they vanish into the black. Others have abandoned the very concept of time as we know it, growing and cloning themselves across centuries in a slow-motion dance of biological immortality. The siphonophore is a living paradox, a colony of specialized individuals functioning as a single organism that can grow longer than a massive blue whale. These gelatinous giants drift through the water column, waiting for the marine snow, a continuous cloud of organic debris, to drift down from the world above. This falling dust consists of dead plankton and waste, a macabre gift from the sunlit surface that sustains the entire ecosystem of the deep. As this snow settles, it forms a layer of mud kilometers thick, a vast and silent graveyard that has been accumulating for millions of years. This empty-looking plain covers half the surface of our planet, yet it is far from the lifeless desert it appears to be. In the silence of the seabed, we find a unique cast of mud dwellers who have evolved bizarre solutions to survive the pressure. Meet the sea toad, an ambush predator with a mouth large enough to swallow prey whole and the patience of a stone. Over millions of years, its fins have undergone a radical transformation, shifting into something remarkably similar to land-dwelling feet. It shuffles across the mud like a heavy, underwater bird, conserving every ounce of energy in a world where food is scarce. Nearby, the flapjack octopus hovers just above the sediment, delicately sifting through the silt for hidden worms like a ghost. But the deep is not just a static place. It is the stage for the largest migration of biomass on the entire planet. Every single night, 1,000 million tons of sea creatures begin a vertical ascent from the darkness toward the surface. They move under the cover of night to graze on phytoplankton, venturing into the dangerous, nutrient-rich waters near the sun's reach. This deal vertical migration is a massive pulse of life that links the deep abyss directly to the atmosphere and the sun. As dawn breaks, this enormous procession retreats, sinking back into the safety of the crushing depths before the light can expose them. To witness the greatest variety of these light-communicating animals, humans must travel in specialized vessels like the Johnson Sea Link. Sitting inside a transparent acrylic bubble, researchers feel the temperature drop toward freezing as the atmospheric pressure climbs to staggering levels. In this hostile environment, one might expect a vacuum of life, but turning on the searchlights reveals a crowded, vibrant ecosystem. Small organisms flash in response to the sub's presence, creating a chorus of lights that feels like a conversation we cannot join. The cameras capture giants of the gelatinous world like Big Red, a comb jelly as large as a football and new to science. These creatures are so fragile that they often disintegrate when brought to the surface. They can only be truly seen alive here. Some use long, retractable tentacles to snare fish, while others, like the Kiyohimea, drift by surrounded by elegant, gauzy skirts of tissue. When the submersible's lights are extinguished, the true spectacle begins, a pyrotechnic display of bioluminescence that defies any terrestrial logic. A jellyfish pulses with rhythmic, internal neon flashes, while a squid throbs with light, sending messages through the cold, black water. Even in this kingdom of shadow, there are points of light that represent a deadly gamble for anything small enough to be eaten. The deep-sea anglerfish carries a biological lantern, a lure glowing with light generated by symbiotic bacteria living inside its flesh. To a hungry squid or a curious fish, this tiny glimmer in the vast blackness looks like an easy meal until it is too late. These lures are the fishing rods of the abyss, suspended on long, flexible bones that guide prey directly into a cage of needle-like teeth. But the weirdness of the deep ocean doesn't stop with its inhabitants. Sometimes the geography itself seems to defy the laws of nature. In places like the Gulf of Mexico, tectonic movements and ancient salt deposits create a phenomenon that looks like a dream: underwater lakes. These are brine pools, concentrated reservoirs of super salty liquid that is much heavier than the surrounding seawater, causing it to pool on the floor. Imagine a lake 15 meters deep, with its own shoreline and surface ripples sitting at the very bottom of the saltwater ocean. Around these toxic margins, life has found a way to thrive in a crowded, alien city of giant mussels and scavengers. These mussels can live for over a century, dwarfing the shrimps and squat lobsters that pick through the detritus on the lake's edge. Cutthroat eels roam these shores like wolves, occasionally venturing into the brine in a desperate search for something to eat. But the brine is a trap. It is so dense and toxic that spending too long inside can send an eel into immediate toxic shock. For many, the brine pool is not a source of life, but a preservative tomb that embalms the bodies of the fallen for decades. This strange, layered world reminds us that nature is a much broader concept than the sun-drenched forests we call home. We are terrestrial creatures, biased toward the light. Yet the vast majority of our planet is cold, dark, and under immense pressure. Every time we send a camera into the deep, we find species that have never been seen before and behaviors that challenge our biology. It is a reminder that we are sharing our tiny blue marble with a massive alien civilization that has no need for the sun. What else is hiding in the mud of the plains that cover half our world, or drifting in the silence of the midnight zone? We have only explored a tiny fraction of this abyss, leaving the most significant part of our planet a total and complete mystery. Perhaps the most unsettling question isn't what is down there, but how much more of our own world remains truly unknown to us.